Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about how do you know when you should pivot. If you run a business, this will probably cross your mind at one point and you're always wondering, especially at the beginning stages, am I just wasting my time? Should I be trying something new or should I really be patient, persevere and see where this goes? When I first started my business, I really had a hard time with this. I wasn't really sure exactly which direction I should go. I pivoted a few times. And through those difficult times, I actually learned it's really simple to determine whether you should pivot or not. And it's breaking it down to two parts, the internal and the external. So let's talk about the internal first. With our internal state is this graph here. If you're a designer, if you write books, you might be familiar with this. This is the emotion curve. But it's also actually the learning curve. So what happens when we learn is actually we go through something like this. So let's take learning a language for example. The first stage that you go through is uninformed, optimism. So at the beginning, when we start something, we're always very excited.
Right, it's going to be great. I'm going to learn Spanish. I'm going to be able to travel South America, go to continental Europe. It's going to be fantastic. I'll be able to understand some Italian, maybe some Portuguese. I'm really excited for this. I know French, so it's going to be great.
But unfortunately, as we start to spend some time, we realized that it's not so easy. And we have informed pessimism.
At this point, we think, oh crap, it's actually really difficult. The grammar is not at all the same. There are words that are confusing. I can't figure out, the masculine, the feminine. What do I do with all of these things? Maybe I shouldn't be learning Spanish. But let's keep on going and see how we go. I've downloaded new apps. I've tried new courses. Maybe I'll figure out a way to make this work.
And then time goes by and we end up here. This is the crisis of meaning. And this is really rock bottom. For a lot of us when we're learning and you think, okay,
this is impossible. I've tried to conjugate all of the verbs that I've been learning. It's not enough. I can't even have a normal conversation. It takes me forever trying to figure out how to do all of these things. There are so many irregularities and what do I do? Why am I even learning this in the first place? Everyone speaks English anyway. And if they don't understand, body language, it works.
Right, so this is where we have the crisis of meaning. Why am I even doing this? Now, the thing is that if we reach this point, there are really two paths to go. You can either continue down this way and really forget about it, right? Forget Spanish. I'm going to quit. This is where people quit. Or you might continue down this curve. Now, why would you continue when you are at the crisis of meaning? Here is a very important idea to think about is that actually there is mapping also to time. This is your skill. And so when you started, even though you didn't know much about Spanish, you were really excited. And as you learn more, you realize, okay, there's a lot that I don't know. But look what's happening with your skills is you're building skills, right? The more you learn, the more you know that there are things that you don't know, which is actually a good thing. It will help you progress. But the way that our emotional states work is that we start to get overwhelmed. Okay, there's so much to learn. I don't know anything yet. And so you're working towards this misery. But look at your skills as you go up. Even though you are at your crisis of meaning, you've actually built a lot of skill over the past few months, few weeks, few years, whatever the time frame you're operating in. So even though we have this crisis, we actually forget that we've been building a lot of useful skills. And really, this is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, a lot of people don't see this. They forget that there is this skill curve, and all they focus on is this crisis of meaning. So a lot of people quit prematurely. So you really have to ask yourself, when you think about pivoting internally, where is that desire coming from? Is it really that you can't do this, or is it that you're not seeing your skill progress? Because if you continue up this curve, you'll actually pick up the courage and pick up the excitement where you now have informed optimism. Now, this is where you make a lot of those connections in your mind, a lot of the reflections that you need in order for you to make your learning process more efficient, more impactful. So let me know in the comments if anyone of you have been here in the crisis of meaning and have managed to go up to the informed optimism. Or did you, in some cases, reach the crisis of meaning and quit? Because I've done both. And now looking back, it makes a lot of sense that this was really the light at the end of the tunnel that I couldn't see. So the first part about whether you should pivot or not is really to think about internally, regardless of what's happening out there. And do I have the skills? Am I able to learn more and do more in order to get here? Because success is at that end of the curve. And when we reach this point, a lot of us want to say, well, it's easier to give up. Yes, but you've already built so much skill here that you have to make that decision. Is it worth it for me to give up and not ever reach the informed optimism and the success and, go down this path? So internally, you have to make that decision. Am I ready to pivot because I don't believe in what I can do? How am I going to make this happen? Or is it something else? Now, once you understand where you are internally, you want to then think about externally what's going to happen, because every single business, they don't operate in a vacuum, right? So we need to ask ourselves now externally, what is my audience? What is my ideal clients saying about my business? And this is one of the other problems, and one mistake that I've made myself, is that a lot of the time, especially at the beginning, you're afraid of getting real feedback. I mean, friends and family, they tell you, oh, it's a great idea, whatever, some of them are very supportive. But are they really your ideal customers? To them, maybe it's not a problem that they have, but they thought, okay, well, that makes sense. It sounds like a good idea. But you really need to speak to the people that you want to serve. So in my other video, I've done one where are you going to actually talk to these people and get feedback and work with them? Now, this is crucial for you to determine whether you need to pivot or not, because you need market information. You need people to tell you, are they interested in this? Is there demand? What is wrong with your current offer? Should you be improving it? Is it okay? Is it actually something else that's changing in the environment? And for you to know that, you can't rely on yourself. You have to look for others to inform you on this, because it's an external factor that doesn't come from you. And so you really want to make sure you are talking to the right people. And that is the external part of knowing whether you should pivot or not. Because let's say you have done this and you realize, okay, I'm at the crisis of meaning. Actually, I do have a lot of skills. So internally, I am ready to continue. But now you have to think about externally, is there still demand for this? Are people actually interested in what I'm doing? So am I serving people the right way? What is the problem that is holding my business back? Maybe, and for a lot of my clients, is that they've pivoted so many times. And the reason they've pivoted is because no one showed up to buy their offer the first time, but they weren't promoting it the right way. They didn't actively reach out to people to actually help them. They just hope that, okay, well, if it's a good offer, people will just magically find me. That's not how it works, right? So you need to be able to work with other people. So that is the two-part system for knowing which way you should go with your business in order to know, should you pivot or should you stay the course? A lot of the times with new business owners, people pivot way too early, that because you think, oh, something is not going right, it must be a disaster, without actually validating internally and externally whether you should pivot. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll put up the video for how to actually find your first client in a month here, and make sure you check those out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.